The other non-bid is for Fairfax from Gina Rinehart.
Yeah.
Now, it's very interesting. She had previously threatened to sell her shares if she didn't get away. Then she suddenly sells some shares this week. But actually, it's not that she's getting out, but she's actually putting more pressure. Putting more pressure on them.
Yeah, strangely, the way to actually sell shares and apply more pressure and actually be more aggressive. The object of this was to get around her problem that the Fairfax directors had suggested that with a more than 15% shareholder, they were not basically insured for directors' indemnity
against her.
Against her.
Yeah.
So she's sold down. So she said, "Okay, that's one argument against me that I've just gotten rid of." So
I think it's a reasonable concern on the part of the Fairfax directors, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Because Gina does love to use lawyers and sue people.
Extremely litigious
and
person,
so if I was a Fairfax director, I'd be very concerned about whether my directors and officers' liability insurance was going to cover me.
Well, in fact, it would have meant that if she came onto the board, they'd all quit immediately.
That's right.
Which they're probably going to do anyway.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the concern I think Fairfax really has. I mean, it's not that people keep saying she would have two roles or two directors out of 10 or 11, but the reality is it would be a block inside the board that could be could make it dysfunctional.
I mean, just to the other point, I mean, you mentioned the concern that directors would have. I think as a small shareholder, they'd have concerns as well because, you know, to my mind, we're seeing another example of someone trying to get control of a company without necessarily going out there and making a full-on bid and paying a takeover premium to the smaller shareholders who've been sitting there patiently thinking this is a stock with great value.
Yeah. Well, there's no countervailing force, is there?
You wrote the other day that you like the value of Fairfax. Did you follow up by buying a few, David?
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, exactly. I mean,
you did.
If you look at the sum of the parts of Fairfax, to my mind, again, I'm an economist. I'm not an expert, share analyst at this stage. But I mean, if you look at the value of Fairfax, it's 1.3 billion in market cap, and some elements of its business are worth that on its own. I would certainly some analysts and investment banks are saying that. So,
did you buy a Taslotto ticket on the same day?
No, but just so you've got to break it up. One's got to break it up to realise the value. And right now, Rinehart has negative control. She can stop somebody else from breaking it up.
Well, arguably another thing they could do is separate it out. Like the media element of it is arguably being undervalued by the market.
Because the other thing is the identity of the outfit that bought Gina's 3.7%, taking it from 18.7 down to 15. It's Perpetual. So what are they up to?
And they're being supportive of Gina, which is pretty unusual, actually, because going back to your point, I mean, I would have thought that the larger shareholders, institutional shareholders, don't want Gina to get control without making a bid. So why support her in that in controlling the company by default or de facto when instead of actually sort of operating to try and push her to either make a bid or get out or bust it up, whatever.
I guess they're just classic value investors. They know it should be worth more than what the current share price is. Gina's in there shaking things around. Maybe she's going to act as a catalyst and, the company might get broken up, in which case, they'll have a big win.
Well, from Gina's point of view, it's the same effect as if she didn't sell them.
Yeah, exactly.
Like she's still got effectively 18.7%.
I know, she's just got a whole lot of money for nothing.
Yeah, but the Perpetual guys will make their own call. They won't back her all the way. They'll back her for a board seat, but they're not going to back her in every decision she wants to make.
That's all she wants is the board seat, so that's, I mean, the other big shareholder is Alan Gray with Simon Murray. They've said they don't want to back her for a board seat because that gives her too much control, the point you're making.
And I think some of the other shareholders that I've spoken to mirror Alan Gray as well, rather than Perpetual. But mind you, they're all sitting on far bigger losses than Perpetual is. It's gone in there, it's got a much more limited downside. If it gets much cheaper, somebody has got to do something with it. If it sits where it is, at least they haven't lost anything.
So Liz, just quickly, do you think that James Packer will get the casino licence for Barangaroo and run the hotel for Steve McCann?
I think if he gets the casino licence, he will be running the hotel for Steve McCann. How this pans out in Echo is, I think, still a great unknown. And I don't think we really have a good sense of the relationship between the two big shareholders, the two big casino-owning shareholders in that stock. It's got a way to play out. Whether they're going to be friendly with each other and split the spoils, or whether they go in head-to-head, well, I think that's something that we'll have to sort of wait and see for.
And Ivor and David, it's going to be interesting to see what the market does next week. It was pretty weak on Friday, but anyway, we'll have to look ahead. But that's where we'll have to leave it for this week. Thanks to all of our guests, David Bassanese, Liz Knight, Ivor Rees. Thanks for coming. And thanks to you for your company. We'll see you next week.